Hello, everyone, and welcome to an edWebinar brought to you by Wonder Workshop. My name is Dylan Portalance, and I'm a product manager at Wonder Workshop. We have a great presentation for you today called Relevant Robotics, Integrating Creative Coding and Robots in Your Classroom, presented by two awesome educators. Please join the EdWeb Coding and Robotics K-8 community by going to that website. You can find the webinar recordings, earn more certificates, join online discussions, and also you'll find out about more webinars that are coming up in the future. We have a great one in April coming up talking about girls in STEM and early childhood. We also have another one coming up in May where folks from Wonder Workshop will show footage working with the Alabama Institute for the Deaf and Blind. So fun stuff coming in the future, so please join that community. But let me introduce our presenters. So we have two illustrious presenters from Redlands, California. Carrie Willis is a technology director and STEAM coordinator at Valley Preparatory School. She's been an educator for over 17 years, as well as a nationally recognized presenter. She has a love for everything coding, robotics, movie production, engineering, and design, and uses all these different activities in her new STEAM lab at her school, as well as with many educators across pre-K through 8 in different classrooms. We also have Caitlin Arakawa, who is a kindergarten teacher also at Valley Preparatory School in Redlands. And she is also a lover of all things technology and is constantly finding new and creative and innovative ways to integrate coding and robotics with various core subjects like ELA, math, science, and social studies in her classroom. She's also an Apple teacher and an ambassador for several educational platforms, including Wonder Workshop's Robots, as well as Nearpod, Class Dojo, and Discovery Education. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Caitlin and Carrie, who will be taking you through your presentation.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Dylan. All right, welcome, everyone. This is Relevant Robotics, Integrating Creative Coding and Robots in Your Classroom. We're excited to be here, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Before we get started, we'd like to know a little bit about you. So add a little bit about you in the chat. What's your role in education? What do you think about coding and robotics? Why do you think it's important? What grades do you teach?
I'd love to know why you're here.
A little bit more about us. My name is Carrie Willis. I'm the technology director at Valley Prep School in Redlands, California. Valley Prep's a private school. We have grades preschool through 8, and this is my 18th year here, and I'm also the strategic outreach manager for Wonder Workshop.
My name is Caitlin Arakawa, and I am a 4th-year kindergarten teacher. I love finding creative ways to integrate technology in my classroom, as well as make it accessible for my kindergarten students. So when introducing anything new to your classroom or curriculum, it's always important to start with your why. I'm sure many of you have heard of the TED Talk or read the book by Simon Sinek titled Start with Why. He encourages leaders to use this framework of starting with your why and then working your way to understanding the how and what in order to be successful. This framework is especially useful for educators in the classroom as they reflect on what's truly relevant to their students and supporting them in their educational journeys.
In this presentation, we'll be highlighting why coding and robotics is important for the 21st century classroom, and then moving towards understanding how you can implement coding and robotics using various apps and products. We'll be showing examples of creative and innovative cross-curricular lesson ideas that use coding and robotics to support your existing curriculum.
This statistic is from a video called Shift Happens that came out in 2007. The video explains how rapid the job market is changing and the urgent need to adjust the ways in which we prepare our students for the future. The top 10 in-demand jobs in 2010 did not exist in 2004, and that trend has remained consistent as technology is advancing. As teachers in the 21st century, it is our job to prepare our students to solve problems that may not even exist yet. Computer science is a part of every field in the job market, whether it be in healthcare, in space, in our homes, or in entertainment. More and more jobs are relying on technology. Although there is a great need for computer science professionals, there are just not enough graduates in that field to fill the need we are facing. Data from code.org shows that there are over 500,000 current openings in computer computer science, and these job openings are projected to grow at twice the rate of other jobs. In fact, 2/3 of technology-related jobs are actually outside of the tech sector.
Research that's been done at Microsoft shows that 91% of girls identify with being creative, but when asked about computer science, they don't see it as a creative field. So let's help reverse that stereotype by giving girls opportunities to capitalize on their interests through creative coding and STEAM projects. It's definitely a common misconception that computer science is only about programming and technology. But computer science is also about logic, problem solving, and creativity. These are the skills that are going to prepare our students to solve the problems of tomorrow. These are the skills that will help our students be successful in any field. I love this sketch note by Brian Aspinall and Sylvia Duckworth. I have it hanging on the wall in my classroom, and it serves as a reminder that while not all students will choose to pursue jobs in computer science, exposing our students to coding teaches our students what some people call soft skills that are important for every career. I personally don't like the term soft skills because I think that these skills are anything but soft. They're vital. They're essential for being successful.
So now you've learned the why. Let's get started with the how and what when introducing coding and robotics into your classroom. I'm going to get started by talking about one of my favorites, Nearpod. Nearpod is a powerful teaching and learning tool that promotes engagement in your classroom. Nearpod has easily downloadable and customizable ready-to-run lessons across all subjects. These lessons presented here are a part of a digital citizenship and literacy program, which contains over 250 lessons, assessments, and project-based learning experiences. This free sample from their coding series is broken up to lessons geared towards K through 2, 3 through 8, and 9 through 12th grades. These lessons are a great way to introduce your students to a programming language in a way that's relatable to the students' real-life experiences. For example, when teaching algorithms, this lesson starts off by asking students about a time they have tried something new, or about a time that they have had to teach somebody something new. It asks them to share with their partner about how they would give someone step-by-step instructions on, for example, how to brush your teeth. The students practice writing clear instructions, testing those instructions, and then fixing any errors in them. This gives students a basis for understanding what it means to give instructions, or in this case, an algorithm. These lessons teach students about coding through engaging and collaborative activities, as well as incorporates language arts and mathematics. In our school, the first online coding program that we introduce the students to is Codable. Codable makes learning to code fun for students. It's a great introduction to coding and algorithmic thinking. The students must drag and drop commands to program their fuzzy character to get through the maze. By doing this, they learn problem solving, computational thinking, sequence, conditions, loops, functions, and debugging. These skills are necessary for learning any programming language. Codable includes interactive tutorials for each new concept. Students can learn programming terms and logic without any adult assistance. The tutorials are completely voiced and walk the kids through their first problem in each lesson. Our teachers often create student accounts for themselves as well so that they can be challenged right along with the kids. They sometimes even ask the students for help.
All the time.
They're the experts.
So when it comes to Codable, there's definitely something for everyone. Whether you're a beginner or ready to write your first line of JavaScript, students and teachers love Codable. The students beg to play. They don't even realize that they're learning something, and constantly surprise me with how fast they pick up new concepts. There are both free and paid account options. It's really easy for the teachers to set up their classes in this program, and they actually just came out with a new system-wide interface this week called CODE, K-O-D-E, which stands for Kid Optimized Developer Environment. I haven't checked it out yet, but from what I see, it looks pretty awesome.
Coding can sometimes be an abstract concept and hard for our students to wrap their heads around. This offline activity is a great way to introduce algorithmic thinking in a more concrete and tangible way. Students were given arrows indicating right, left, forwards, backwards, and mazes were drawn on the ground outside with chalk. Students collaborated in teams with different jobs. One student was being programmed to go through the maze. Some students were coders, others were debuggers. The coders wrote the code using arrows, and the students being programmed had to follow the code and move through the maze. This activity was not only engaging, but it required little prep. It's a great activity for beginners of all ages and it encourages them to get outside, collaborate, and teach them that coding doesn't have to be in front of a screen. Here are some other offline coding activities that can be done collaboratively in the classroom. This example is a Gingerbread themed coding activity that we paired with reading various Gingerbread Man books during the holiday season. For this activity, students create a map for their gingerbread man or gingerbread woman using colored path pieces that end at the gingerbread house. The student is instructed to place 2 treats and 1 enemy along the path. Once the path is completed, he or she will trade with another student who will then write the code for the gingerbread man to move through the path using the directional arrows. When the gingerbread man comes across a treat, the student will need to draw the symbol to eat the treat. And when they reach the enemy, they will draw the symbol to jump over the enemy. Students love creating their own paths as well as trading paths with their partner and writing the code. This free resource is from Brooke Brown on Teachers Pay Teachers. She's an awesome resource to follow.
Definitely. I'm not sure if anybody participated in the Hour of Code this year, but code.org had some really fun activities. Let me get the graphic up here. He's dancing. There we go. Had some really fun dance-themed activities, all geared around towards the music and the dance moves that the kids are into these days. So the floss, the dab, and a bunch of others that I'm too old to keep up with. I don't know the names, but they had some great online and offline activities too. So this offline activity would serve as a great brain break of sorts. Think Go Noodle, but with a bit of a coding twist. The purpose of this activity is for the students to learn about events. An event is a common term in programming. The students learn the dance moves associated with a particular color, and then the teacher or the designated student can create the program by pressing the buttons associated with that color. Each time the button is pushed, it's an event that lets the students or robots know what they should do next. It's a great activity for those rainy or snowy indoor recess days or when they just need to get the wiggles out.
Yep.
There are lots of offline coding activities out there. Teacher Pay Teachers have a ton. Some are free, some are not. There's also a really fun one available through BrainPop Junior in the computer programming lesson. That video is also great for an introduction to coding if you have a BrainPop subscription. And we also love Breakout EDU at our school, and we've learned that offline coding activities really lend themselves to the directional locks. So Caitlin created this holiday offline coding activity to go along with an Elf on the Shelf breakout that she did in her class.
Yeah. This slide is for all those teachers that, like me, that love Seesaw and the Seesaw Activity Library. Here are some activities already created by awesome Seesaw teachers. The Activity Library has a ton of thematic directional coding activities that are pre-made. All you have to do is add it to your library and assign it to your class. Ready to go.
Yeah, these are fun. Goose Chase. I know I have some Goose Chase lovers out there, but if you're not familiar with Goose Chase, it's an online scavenger hunt platform where teachers can create scavenger hunt type games with missions for their students to complete. A mission can instruct the students to take a photo of something, record a video, or just type a simple sentence.
This is another ready-to-go activity that can be found in the Goose Chase Games Library. For this activity, my students use colored beads to create holiday wreaths with patterns and codes. Some of the missions required students to make patterns using the beads on the pipe cleaner. This activity is great for our littlest learners to help them understand the connection between making patterns and coding.
An awesome connection.
Now on to one of my favorite coding platforms, Scratch Junior. Scratch Junior is a free app for both iPad and Android tablets. Scratch Junior is an introductory programming language that enables young children to create their own interactive stories and games. Children snap together graphical programming blocks to make characters move, jump, dance, and sing. Students can modify characters in the Paint editor and add their own voices and sounds. They can even insert photos of themselves. Then they use the programming blocks to make their characters come to life. Scratch Junior was inspired by the popular Scratch programming language used by millions of students ages 8 and up around the world. Scratch Junior has an interface that is developmentally appropriate for younger children. It is suitable for students who are pre-readers, but also has features that can be appropriately challenging for older elementary students. I think Scratch Junior lends itself easily to digital storytelling and incorporating language arts and mathematics. So I want to show you some of the examples that I've done with my kindergartners. In this example, we incorporated language arts by retelling a story. I took a screenshot and printed out various characters in Scratch Junior and had the students pick one out of a hat. Students then had to write about their character and decide an appropriate setting. The students had to develop and write a story with a beginning, middle, or end. Once they wrote the story, they used Scratch Junior to animate the story. Although this is an example of my kindergarten classroom, you can use the same concept to make it appropriate for whatever concept you're teaching in your classroom. Last week, our second graders incorporated creative writing by using Scratch to create their own choose your own adventure story. So that was pretty fun.
That was awesome.
This is a great tie into math. In kindergarten, we're learning about addition and creating addition stories. Common Core math requires students to see math not only abstractly with numbers and concretely with objects, but also visually with pictures. Incorporating Scratch Junior is a great way to engage students in that pictorial representation of math in a way that's challenging and require them to practice coding skills and use higher level of thinking.
I'm sure many of you have heard of Scratch. Scratch is a block-based visual programming language that was developed in the MIT Media Lab. The desktop version that was created in 2003, there was a desktop version that was created in 2003, and then in 2013, they created Scratch 2.0, which is the online version that most of you are probably familiar with. But just this past January 2019, Scratch 3.0 came out. And there are some really fun new features. There's some new blocks, sound effects, the ability to add extensions. But what I love most is the tutorials. The tutorials are great for any age, especially when students are still learning about the features in the program. As you can see, there are 20 different tutorials, and they walk the students through how to use the different features and blocks in Scratch. There's a video for the students to watch and instructions for them to follow along in each tutorial. This is perfect for those of us that have no idea how to use the program ourselves, but really want to introduce it to our students, which is like most of us. Right?
Yeah.
Most coding and robotics platforms these days have made it really easy for teachers to, with no computer science background, to introduce coding and robotics to their students. I have my older students start with these tutorials, and then they use the skills that they learn to then make their own activity or game or whatever with the skills that they've learned and add their own flair to it. They can then share their projects in our class studio and with their classmates, and they can play each other's games or watch each other's animations, and it's really fun for them. Scratch is also great because I think it can be translated to over 70 languages now. We had a group of students from China recently visit our school, and we were able to change the language to Mandarin, and they were able to fit right in with my sixth graders that were doing these tutorials. So it was really easy, and that's a great feature.
There's some videos in there that you can use the closed captioning for.
Oh, yes, definitely. Mm-hmm. So you can change the programming language on the blocks, and then in the videos, you can do closed captioning and change the closed captioning language.
Accommodates everybody.
Yep. Another great resource from Scratch is the Scratch in Practice site. It's sort of like a monthly blog, and this month's theme in March happens to be curriculum connections. It's all about ways to integrate Scratch into your subject area. The Scratch in Practice page shares ideas and resources from the Scratch team and from different educators around the world. So each month, the SIP website will feature a new theme to explore and discuss. They also have downloadable task cards, educator guides, links to blog posts, video tips from experts, and you can sign up to get the Scratch in Practice emails. Highly recommend that. The Create a Story lesson that's highlighted this month is great for creative writing integration. They're also having a Twitter chat next week on Tuesday, March 12th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. You can always search the hashtag after the fact if you can't participate live. Twitter chats are a great way of connecting with other educators that have the same interests as you. I always find a new person to follow and share ideas with every Twitter chat I participate in. While browsing the Scratch Ed site, I found this awesome history project from a student. Let me get the animation playing here. This is pretty cool. What caught my eye about this student project was the note on her project. Her teacher had assigned the class a vocabulary project, and she says, our teacher told us to demonstrate our computer tech skills with a PowerPoint or a Prezi. And I'm like, psh, I got you, teach, watch this. And voila, this was born. So I thought this was such a fun way to combine her love of coding and animation and a social studies vocab practice. And it's very impressive.
And I think it just goes to show that this can interest different students and, give them an opportunity to show what they know in all subject areas in a different way. And I honestly think this is a very creative way and almost even more difficult way.
Made this vocab assignment fun for her because obviously she loves coding, so she didn't mind doing it.
And I'm sure she spent a lot of time on there. Carrie and I were talking about it. It says, and voila, this was born in an hour. And we're like, I don't think we could do that in an hour.
No, this would take me maybe a year.
It's really impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
A great way to show her learning.
In her own way.
Exactly.
All right, Code.org. Code.org is a nonprofit organization that aims to encourage people, particularly schools and students, to learn computer science. The website includes free coding lessons, and the initiative also targets schools in an attempt to encourage them to include more computer science classes in the curriculum. They also have a strong desire to get more girls coding. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about Code.org because this could be an entire webinar in itself, but what I am going to say is it's free, it's easy to use, there's something for everyone, it's appropriate for all grade levels, and the activities are engaging and relevant to students' interests. What many people don't know is that Code.org has free in-person professional development classes for teachers. If you go to the site and click on Teach up at the top and scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can click on Professional Learning Programs. There are in-person K-5 full-day free trainings around the United States. I've attended one before and it was great. You get some pretty cool swag, a really awesome curriculum guide that has both lessons online and offline coding as well, and some great offline coding resources. The professional learning for middle school and high school teachers is set up a little different. They actually have week-long trainings available as well as ongoing year-long support. There's a cost associated, I think, with the middle school and high school training, but there are scholarships available and that are funded by different organizations and districts and counties across the nation. So if you put in your school zip code, you can see, what's available in a town near you.
So I know everyone was itching and excited. And you're asking, when are we going to see the robots? So here we are. My favorite, Dash and Dot. Dash and Dot are targeted to students in grades K through 5 and help teach creative problem solving and computational thinking. Even though they are marketed for K through 5, our middle school students use them as well. There are 5 apps that work with Dash. Go, which is like a remote control. We don't really use that one in our classroom. We like to start with Path for our littlest students. Great for preschool, pre-K, and even kindergarten when they are first learning. Blockly, which is the block-based coding look you're probably used to, and Wonder, which can be described as machine state or strand-based coding, and Xylo, which is an app that works for a xylophone attachment, which is an accessory for Dash.
What I love about this is that students can progress through the apps, and you as a teacher can choose the app or apps that are the best fit for your classroom. I hear a lot of teachers or schools that have sets of robots, or the teachers, have them in their rooms and they have no idea where to start and they're a little bit scared. Well, first of all, don't be scared. There's nothing to be scared of because Wonder Workshop has made the implementation process so easy because of their well thought out curriculum options. At the top of the screen, you'll see the K-5 challenge cards for Dash and Dot. These take all of the guesswork out of how to introduce the robots to your students. There are 72 cards in total for use with both Dash and Dot. The front of the card has a story-based scenario, and the back of the card has step-by-step instructions for the students to follow. This is an example of a page from the teacher's curriculum guide. The guide is awesome. At the top, you'll find a small image of the student challenge card, as well as hints that you as the teacher can give the students if they get stuck. There's also a suggested solution, as well as discussion questions. The best part is that there are cross-curricular lesson examples for both math and language arts on every single page. The back of the book also has some great blackline masters, such as planning guides for the students, reflection sheets, grading rubrics, and so much more. And there's one of these pages for every single card in the box. Wonder Workshop also has an online cross-curricular lesson library with over 100 lessons, searchable by both subject and grade level. They've included very detailed lesson outlines, teacher scripts.
Woo woo, that's a win.
Yeah, you don't have to know anything. You actually follow the script if you would like. Printable resources, lists of standards, and so much more. It's a great place to get started with your robots after your students have completed the challenge cards, or even before if you don't have the challenge cards.
Exactly.
Start here.
Start there and it will spark some ideas.
Definitely.
How you can kind of adapt it for what you want. Okay, so this is one of my favorite lessons. Carrie and I named it the All the Things lessons.
All of the things.
It's one of my favorites because I really feel like it's an all-inclusive STEAM project that hits a variety of standards in many domains. I start off this lesson by reading a book, Balloons Over Broadway, which is a true story about the puppeteer behind the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. We used Nearpod to go on a virtual field trip to the parade so the students really get a sense for what it's like. The students could move their iPads around and truly see how big these balloons are floating down the street and see real people holding onto them. After introducing the students to the parade through some literature and virtual reality, we learned a little bit more about the engineering and design of the balloons through a Discovery Education video and virtual tours that are on the Macy's Parade website. Students are able to virtually walk through these spaces where these balloons and floats are designed and built. Afterwards, we mapped the parade route using Google Maps and by identifying landmarks. Using Seesaw, students designed their own floats and wrote a persuasive letter to get Macy's to pick their balloon for the parade. I like to take it one step farther, so I collected all the students' work and recording and put it into a Google form. I sent out the link to parents as well as posted it in various teaching groups and networks, of course, without any student information, and asked everyone to vote on their top 3. My students absolutely loved this part. Giving the students a wider audience for their work motivated them to put forth their best effort, and they developed a lot of pride in their work. My students and I were shocked to see all the locations the votes were coming in from. Of course, we had to incorporate some robotics into the mix. So my students used their balloon designs. They drew it on a paper, attached it to a balloon, and then attached it to the Dash robot. We taped out the parade route, and the students drew landmarks, attached it to boxes, and set them along the parade route. Students use the Blockly program. They use the Blockly app to program the robot to go through the parade route. This project was pretty advanced, but I think this project can be done with any grade level and incorporate your elementary and maybe even your middle school students.
Definitely, this is such a cool project. So after seeing that last project, you probably think we always have our act together, right? And developing these amazing projects. No, there's definitely times when I have students coming to my STEAM lab and 10 minutes before they walk through their door, I'm racking my brain. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do today? So this was one of those activities. It was around Easter and Caitlin's kindergarten class was coming and I had 0 ideas up my sleeve. And so I remembered that Dash had these like silly rabbit ears that came in one of the accessory kits. So I thought, okay, let's do something Easter themed. Do you have any plastic eggs in your room? So she brought down plastic eggs. We made Easter baskets on the carpet out of painter's tape. I mean, they're not even shaped like baskets, they're squares. But,
imagination.
The students programmed the robots to push the eggs that were scattered around the room into the baskets. So, as they're kind of thinking about this, we're thinking of other ways. How could we have made this better? Maybe next time, instead of using the bulldozer bar, we could have the students engineer their own attachments for the robots out of popsicle sticks. And then it got us thinking, what kind of curricular integration could we do? So that's what led to this next idea.
So this is how we started thinking of how we can incorporate math, for example. So we decided to try this math activity with the students. We wrote math problems on cups. So on the picture, you can see like 2 + 3, 5 + 4, etc. on just red cups, plastic cups. And then on a different cup, we wrote the answer. So at the end of the robotics mat. So the students had to pick a math problem cup, solve it, and program the robot to push the cup to the correct answer. We also tried it by writing answers in squares with painter's tape on the floor. Just kind of depends on what you have and how much time you have to prep. This same idea can be adapted in so many ways to incorporate all types of concepts. Rhyming words, beginning sounds, subtraction, etc.
So we actually did this project twice, because once we did it with painter's tape numbers on the floor, and then decided for kindergarten it'd be a little bit easier to use one of our robotics mats because they could easily measure out the distances that the robot had to go. So you can definitely scale this type of activity depending on your grade level.
And, we started to introduce them to the fact that each square is 30 centimeters or 1 foot, and they had to actually put in there the amount of centimeters they wanted to go, and just kind of introduce them and expose them to that sort of vocabulary and language. And you think it might be sophisticated, but they really start to catch on and start to get the full idea of everything.
All right. So let's see.
We've been talking a lot about elementary.
We have this one.
Oh yeah. We did this with elementary.
Yeah. So this is a project that we love to do during our Sharing the Planet PYP unit. It's something that you can do during Earth Day, or anytime the students are learning about recycling. I found these recycle bin stickers at the Dollar Tree. They're little sticker sets, and I put the recycle bins onto cups so that they stood up, and then the students put the stickers onto little smaller cups that they then programmed the robot to, they scattered them around and programmed the robot to push the correct recyclables to the correct recycle bin. You definitely don't need a sticker kit like this to do an activity like this. You can draw them. You could use actually real recyclables. The robot can push aluminum cans or empty plastic bottles to the correct bin. So it'd be really creative to see what the students could come up with an activity like this. And just like we talked about before, it's easy to adapt a sorting activity like this to any subject matter. You can classify, biomes, types of rocks, plant types, periods in history, deliver the right animal to their correct habitat. Whatever you're studying and whatever grade level you teach, there's something that can be done with robots.
Yeah. I mean, sort capitals and lowercase letters, like it really can be anything. Now on to middle school.
There we go. Okay. We've been talking a lot about elementary, but many of these same lessons can be leveled up to middle school as well. So using the robots to reinforce or retell concepts is totally appropriate for all grade levels. In middle school, the students can be allowed a lot more freedom and creativity with the robots. We often see the robots being used in more of a PBL type project, project-based learning in the classroom. If you aren't familiar with Q, Q is Dash's more sophisticated older sibling. Wonder Workshop has a great middle school project-based curriculum for Q. There's 3 different project-based units, one on creative writing, one on game design, and one on innovation. And they have these great design notebooks for the students to use as well. Do you want to do this one?
So all of these units follow a design thinking process, which encourages students to understand, define, ideate, plan, and build and test, and to also have a growth mindset while possibly needing to plan and build and test multiple times before they're happy with the result. I think this is an important lesson for all of our students to learn is, you're not going to get it right the first time. And sometimes you have to collaborate and try new ideas and kind of fail forward is what we like to say.
Yep. And not be defeated by a challenge, be inspired to try something new and keep excited.
Yep. Keep moving forward.
Along these same lines, there's also a free applied robotics online curriculum available on the makewonder.com website. The projects and activities work through a variety of middle school Common Core math and literacy standards, as well as ISTE, CSTA, and NGSS standards. These are great because they are ready-made and easy to use. Each lesson clearly spells out a set of skills or concepts that the students will learn, time frame needed to complete the lesson, target grade levels, supplies needed, a scripted set of instructions for the teachers.
That's a win.
Scripted set of instructions, guided and independent practice activities, including many printable materials, discussion questions, grading rubrics, list of standards, all the things.
All you need to get ready and rolling.
Yep, everything for all of these different activities.
You don't have to be scared to start. We always say you don't have to have a computer science degree to teach computer science. This is written all out for you.
So easy.
Hopefully inspire you to make it your own.
Well, then you can learn along with the kids because, that's what I do every day.
Exactly. The kids will figure it out.
All right, my 6th grade students are working on a math project right now using Sketchkit. I'm going to play this video right now. Sketchkit is an accessory compatible with both Dash and Q, and it allows the robot to draw with a dry erase marker. There are so many math tie-ins with Sketchkit. I just love it. So you can kind of see them in action there. So the kit comes with some dry erase markers, some task cards, the harness for the robot, and then my students in the picture are drawing on the sketch mat, which can be purchased separately. So for this project, my 6th graders are using both Dash and Q to complete the project. They have their choice. They're using the challenge cards that come with the kit, and they have to program Dash or Q to draw each of the shapes on the 10 challenge cards. My requirements for the project is that they have to use 2 different platforms or languages to program the robot to complete each shape. So they have a choice of using Blockly, Wonder, or JavaScript. Many of these students have never used JavaScript before, so this is their first introduction. Since they're using just a few different types of commands to make the shapes, they're able to quickly learn how to type the appropriate text needed in JavaScript for the robot to execute the different commands. Some of the commands for some simple shapes are just moving forward at whatever distance and turning at the correct angle. So they're able to kind of memorize those commands and then adjust them accordingly for the different shapes. They also, during the project, have to showcase their code along with photos and videos of their robots running the program into some type of presentation. This same type of project would be great for when the students are studying angles, perimeter, area, and it can be used for younger grades as well.
Yeah. So the Q app and code.makewonder.com online platform makes it really easy for students to seamlessly go back and forth between block-based coding that they're familiar with and JavaScript. They can add blocks, see what it looks like in text, type some text that they might be familiar with, and then go back to blocks when they're unsure. I think the ability to toggle between both it helps students kind of do things that are more advanced.
Yeah, it's definitely such an amazing way to learn. And using this with the sketch kit, I think, is a great way to start because, like I said before, they're not using all of the functions. They're using, kind of the same ones, the moves and the turns and things. So once they learn those, then they're able to then step up and learn some of the other new ones that they might not be as familiar with.
So as you know, there's a lot of different accessories that come. So this is the new one.
Yes, Gripper, the Gripper building kit. So I'm probably going to play this video twice because it's not very long. And sorry about the terrible video, but I didn't know I was going to be using it in a presentation. This was just like pull my phone out of my back pocket.
Oh my gosh, this is great. So fun.
So this is a challenge that I gave my 6th graders. 6th grade again. They love the robots. So this was inspired from a booth challenge from FETC and TCEA. At the Wonder Workshop booth, they were showcasing the gripper, and they had a challenge kind of like this setup. So I challenged my students to kind of recreate that setup that they had. So I gave them a bunch of cardboard and told them they had to build a ramp. They had to have a platform. The platform had to have a hole in it. And then the hole had to lead to a ramp so that the ball would fall down the hole and go towards a second dash that was there. And they programmed that dash to celebrate when it sensed the ball in front of it. So they learned to use the sensors, they learned to use the gripper. So they built the gripper using the instructions provided in the kit. And then they kind of engineered this little game or challenge. And they had so much fun. So I'm gonna play the video one more time now that I gave a little bit of background on that. So you can see it's gripping the ball, it's going up the ramp, so they have to figure out how fast and how far. And they're so excited when they see Dash celebrating, the dash at the bottom, when it sensed the ball getting there. So that was a really fun challenge. And this took them about an hour. And I think what maybe took them the longest was figuring out what type of tool they needed to cut cardboard.
Well, and I think they also had to kind of realize where their strengths were and how they could work together as a team. This definitely involved, I think you had like 6 students working on this project.
Yes, definitely.
Because some people were the engineers and some people were the coders. And yes, there's 2 robots there. But so did you explain why? So the second one was just the sensors. Right,
to use the sensors to showcase the sensors on Dash and celebrating. And some people don't even know how to use the sensors. So I think this was kind of like a fun activity to show, how the sensors can be used. And then the kids will be able to use that moving forward now. I thought this was like a really cool makerspace project, just like cardboard and tape. All the junk that was in my room. These are old computer boxes, I think, that I had lying around. Here you go, figure it out. And there's, a group of 6 students working collaboratively together and really excited about it. I love the excitement in the video. They were so proud of themselves. It's great. It's great to see that. So we have shown you a lot of examples that we use in our classrooms, but there are so many teachers out there sharing amazing ideas on social media. So we definitely encourage you to, if you are one of the teachers that are sharing, use the hashtag Dash and Dot so that we can search for it and use it in our classroom, or hashtag QRobot. Also definitely tag Wonder Workshop in anything that you're doing, because they love to retweet, and then I love to see their retweets. And we love to copy. Borrow. Yeah. Make it our own. Make it our inspired. We are inspired. It brings us joy. Yes, all these posts bring me joy. So we can kind of look at some of these posts here. The one in the at the top with the green boxes, this teacher does some amazing things with the robots and green screen. So she has kind of a green screen robotics mat, or that's a carpet. I don't know what that is, but it's awesome. And then she has green boxes. So the robots were, the kids were programming the robots to visit these different boxes. But obviously when it's a green screen video, they're rocks or some sort of something. And they were reading the kids were reading the question and then programming the robots to go to the correct answer. And she's posted a lot of really great green screen robot videos. So definitely check her out. And then at the bottom, there's a planet one. This teacher was having the students program the robot to visit the planets in order, and the planets were kind of scattered all over the room, not in order. So that was pretty cool. This bottom middle one is one that we're going to try soon. Yes, with St. Patrick's Day coming around. Yeah, so this one was actually how to catch a turkey. And they read the book, How to Catch a Turkey, and then made a turkey trap. But we're thinking that we're going to change that to How to Catch a Leprechaun. Yes. So every year, leprechaun trap. Every year we like to, pretend in kindergarten there's a leprechaun around school. And I think the kids are always excited to create their own traps and stuff. And we've never added a robot. Exactly. We never have. I don't know. New ideas every year. I don't know why. We make leprechaun traps every year. Like, why haven't we ever dressed up the robot to test it? Exactly. As a leprechaun. So it's a great program
programming, coding, robotic activity, but it's a great engineering activity as well. And so I'm really excited to adapt this project to make it, make it available for my kindergartners to use too.
Well, it's a great STEAM lesson because it involves, the book and the engineering and maybe some of the science, that goes behind, levers and I don't know,
pulleys and
things. All the things. But definitely stay connected on social media. If you have any questions, we'd love to hear about them in the question chat right now. So feel free to add your questions. And if you have any questions in the future, you can catch us at Q.
Yes, we'll be there
at booth 405 with the Wonder Workshop team. So definitely stop by, say hi.
Come chat with us.
Yeah, we'll
talk nerdy with us.
And stay connected. Follow us on Twitter at Carrie Willis 18 and at Caitlin_Arakawa. There's lots of A's in there. So
an A after every letter.
And follow and tweet Wonder Workshop.
Share your ideas. If you've been inspired by anything, let us know. We'd love to see how you're implementing it in your classroom.